Historical background of the customs transit procedure. Basic transit. Suppose that a Spanish tomatoes producer would trade tomatoes from Spain to Finland in the 1950s. This producer would like to carry his products with his own truck. When he reaches the French border, the French customs officer asks the driver, "Prove that you will not sell the tomatoes in customs territory of France." The driver may show the invoice. The officer may ask for a financial guarantee because the Spanish driver may sell the tomatoes in France. If this happened, the VAT and customs duties levied by the French government would be lost. The French customs asks, "Who is the guarantor of these taxes?" These taxes were the biggest obstacle to international trade during those years. The French customs officer asks for a cash guarantee against these customs duties upon entry into the country. This guarantee is returned when leaving the country. This is called the basic transit system. If the driver had a letter of guarantee from Bank X, he would have submitted the letter at the borders instead of giving cash money. This letter of guarantee could have been shown at every border on the way from Spain to France, Germany, and Finland. TIR transit. Work on the TIR transit system started soon after the Second World War under the auspices of the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, UNECE. The first TIR agreement was concluded in 1949 between a small number of European countries. The success of this limited scheme led to the negotiation of a TIR convention which was adopted in 1959 by the UNECE Inland Transport Committee and entered into force in 1960. This first TIR convention was revised in 1975 to take account of practical experience in operating the system and to give effect to technical advances and changing customs and transportation requirements. A review conference convened in November 1975 under the auspices of the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, UNECE, produced the TIR Convention of 1975 that came into force in 1978. Since that time the TIR Convention has proved that it is one of the most successful international transport conventions and is in fact so far the only universal customs transit system in existence. The idea behind the TIR Convention and its transit regime has formed the basis for many regional transit systems and has thus, directly and indirectly, contributed to the facilitation of international transport, especially international road transport, not only in Europe and the Middle East, but also in other parts of the world, such as Africa and Latin America. Anyone who has ever traveled on European roads will recognize the familiar blue and white TIR plate borne by thousands of lorries and semi-trailers using the TIR customs transit system. For the driver, the transport operator and the shipper, this plate stands for fast and efficient international transportation by road. The experience gained in the first 10 to 15 years of operating the system was thus used to make the TIR system more efficient, less complex and at the same time more customs secure. Another reason why the original TIR system had to be modified was that in the early 1960s a new transport technique emerged, the maritime container. That was followed a little later by the inland container used by the European railways and by the swap body introduced for improving the efficiency of rail transport. These new combined or multimodal transport techniques necessitated the acceptance of the container, under certain conditions, as a customs secure loading unit. It meant also that the TIR regime no longer only covered road transport, but was extended to rail, inland waterways and even maritime transport. although at least one part of the total transport operation still has to be made by road. Upon its entry into force, the new convention terminated and replaced the old convention of 1959. However, the former convention is still in force for various reasons, one of which is that one of the contracting parties to the old convention, Japan, has not yet acceded to the TIR convention of 1975. The TIR convention has proved to be one of the most effective international instruments prepared under the auspices of the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, UNECE. To date, it has 77 contracting parties, including the European Union. It covers the whole of Europe and reaches out to North Africa and the Near and Middle East. Countries in Asia have been informed about the facilities of this global customs transit system, and their interest has shown that they may well join the TIR convention in the not-too-distant future. Already today, the United States of America and Canada are contracting parties, as well as Chile and Uruguay in South America. The success of the TIR system may also be attested by the number of TIR carnets distributed and issued every year. Whilst in 1952 only a little over 3,000 TIR carnets were issued, this number increased steadily, reaching 100,000 in 1960, then 800,000 in 1970. During the 70s and 80s, the demand for TIR carnets floated between around 500,000 and 900,000. This can be explained by the enlargement of the European Union, which utilizes its own community transit system within its territory. Thus, TIR carnets are not used for customs transit operations within its member countries. As a result of the expanding East-West European trade, particularly since 1989, and the corresponding tremendous increase in international road transport, the number of TIR carnets issued exceeded 1 million in 1992 and even reached 3 million in 2013, representing the start of nearly 10,000 TIR transports every day in 64 countries and well over 50,000 TIR border crossing procedures daily. The number of transport companies authorized by national customs authorities to utilize TIR carnets amounts to more than 33,000, 2019. Further to ongoing problems in the implementation of the TIR convention in the Russian Federation since 2013, the number of TIR carnets issued has dropped to 1.5 million in 2015. The success of the TIR customs transit system can be explained by the special features of the TIR regime, which offer transport operators and customs authorities a simple, flexible, cost-effective and secure customs regime for the international transport of goods across frontiers. The TIR system, created more than 60 years ago, and the TIR convention, have proved to be a very effective international customs transit system and have played an important role in facilitating international trade and transport, primarily within Europe, but more recently also between Europe and neighboring. With the rapid increase of East-West European traffic and with the emergence of many newly independent countries in Central and Eastern Europe, the TIR system is today faced with new and, to this extent, unprecedented challenges. At the same time, customs authorities are faced with an unparalleled amount of customs fraud and smuggling as a result of changing political, economic and social situations in many countries in the region and due to often heavily increasing customs duties and taxes. Furthermore, the management and the control of the TIR system pose problems for national customs authorities which, mainly in newly independent countries, sometimes still have to acquire the necessary experience and often do not have sufficient and adequately trained personnel. To counter some of these unwanted developments, governments and other actors in the TIR system sometimes impose unilateral measures, such as the requirement of additional guarantees for TIR transit operations or the exclusion of certain categories of goods which are not in line with the provisions and the spirit of the TIR convention. While such measures may provide some temporary relief, they will induce in the long run not only other countries to introduce similar measures, but they will also make international trade and transport more expensive and, eventually, may lead to a total collapse of the TIR transit system, with no viable alternative in sight. The states, which are the parties of the UNTIR Convention, have carried out transit trade with the TIR CarNet system. A Europe-wide money pool was created, and customs duties were guaranteed through the IRU, International Road Transporters Union, and truck CarNets. Departure Customs Office keeps the first page, transit customs offices keep the mid-pages of the CarNet. The last page is kept by the Destination Customs Office. The used CarNet is sent to the IRU. The CarNet is closed by the IRU in Switzerland, if a tax claim is not received from the member states during the next 27. The upper limit of the IRU is €50,000. It does not pay more. This limit is a weakness of the TIR system. Customs brokers who fill out the CarNet, that is speditions, get a fee for this service, because the drivers usually are not able to fill it. The CarNet may be physically lost. When the CarNet is lost, the IRU asks for a guarantee of €2,000. It does not return it until the CarNet is found. To enter into the TIR CarNet system, you need to deposit a guarantee and they investigate you for 3 months. Thus, the use of this system has not been practical for customs and trade parties. Common Transit Procedure. Common Transit Procedure is an international transit regime that was established in 1987 between EU and EFTA member states within the framework of the Convention on a Common Transit Procedure, Common Transit Convention, which allows the goods to be transported with the suspension of applicable duties and taxes. Since 2005, the transports under the Common Transit Procedure is declared and monitored by the exchange of electronic messages with the use of a system called New Computerized Transit System, NCTS. Turkey, having acceded to the Common Transit Convention on 1 December 2012, started using NCTS and became integrated with the transit infrastructure of the EU. Today, the Common Transit Procedure is being implemented by 36 states, which are Turkey, EU member states, EFTA member states, North Macedonia, Serbia, Ukraine and the United Kingdom. Since the transport procedures under the Common Transit Procedure are carried out by utilizing its digital infrastructure, the time required for the completion of these procedures is reduced, which results in a significant competition advantage for the transport sector. Thus, for inland transports between Turkey and other contracting parties of the Convention, a T1 procedure can cover the entire transport under a single declaration and a guarantee. The Common Transit Procedure also makes it possible to facilitate the border crossing procedures, reduce the workload of border crossing points, reduce the overall time for transports and increase the competitiveness of our logistics sector, reduce the costs of international trade, provide additional benefits to the economic operators by allowing the use of comprehensive guarantees, guarantee waivers and other trade facilitation tools. The meaning of facilitating and accelerating trade is that states do not immediately collect taxes such as customs duty, VAT and excise duty, which they must collect due to the movement of an internationally traded good, and suspend these obligations. Nevertheless, states wanted to guarantee the taxes they had to collect in case of unexpected situations such as the sale, smuggling, and commercialization of goods passing through their country's customs territory before reaching their destination, and this led to the emergence of the companies such as Oregon, which are called the holder of the procedure rights or the principal. Common Transit Procedure is a customs procedure, which allows customs duty to be paid in the country of destination of goods between the EU and the common transit countries or between the common transit countries themselves. The difference from national transit is that the goods pass through at least one foreign country border. The common transit procedure ensures that customs duty and excise duty, VAT and other duties on the goods are suspended from the departure customs office to the customs office of destination.